Hey, MotoAmerica fans, this is Jake Gagne. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage, and like, comment. Let's go.
What a beautiful day. We expect high temperatures, but the action's about to heat up on track here at the MotoAmerica Stock 1000. First race of the afternoon at the Ridge Motorsports Park. It's the Komatsu MotoAmerica Superbikes at the Ridge, looking down that front straightaway. They'll make a sharp left and then work their way back towards the camera and swing around the outside in the remaining corners. Tremendous facility. It's our second year here at this facility at the Ridge. Welcome everybody inside our booth. It's a toasty booth inside. It's probably 80-something degrees in here. We expect temperatures near the hundreds. Track temperatures 110, even more today. That is going to be a factor, Roger.
It's going to be real hot. You can just see the heat coming up off the pavement there. The tires are going to get really greasy in every race, those last couple laps. A lot of times, most races, the rear tire gets a little greasy. This is going to be even more, and then also the front tires as well.
Yeah, and it's not that the tires can handle it. It's the track that's actually starting to get a little bit loose, right? I mean, we've all been on those asphalt roads before, and you can kind of feel the track or the tarmac moving underneath you. That's what they're feeling, is that they're putting a ton of horsepower to that track.
And yeah, like I said, the tires can handle it no problem. It's just when it's that hot, that's just the way it is. The tires are going to get so hot, the rubber's going to start getting a little, a lot hotter than normal, and these guys are going to start getting a little greasy. And what that means is like they're not going to have as much confidence like in the front or the rear. And also, a lot of these guys, if the tire gets too hot, they might have to slow down a little bit because it could be getting too greasy. Yeah,
you may not want to push too hard too early, but it's going to be a 13-lap affair for the Stock 1000s. Roger, let's take a look at our Yamaha track map here at the Ridge. About 2.5 miles in length.
Yeah, nice track. It's got fresh pavement this year. You can see the chicane there right off the start. And then the turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through there is a really fun section up and down. A long turn 6, and then you drop down the hill down into 8, 9, 10, which is like one of my favorite corners, a real fast right-hander, uphill into 11 to 12. Then the slowest corner of any track we go to, turn 13, real tight left-hander, down the kind of the corkscrew into a left and then back onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, you see them working their way back down that hill there. And again, we could show you some of the elevation differences, but there are some ups and downs with this track.
There is, especially the one you just seen on camera there at turn 13. And the first couple corners are a little up and down and blind, and then the part where I was talking about through 8 and 9, when you go up over that hill,
right,
you can see where the corner is on the other side.
I've been told by racers through the years, you got to identify where that mark is when you make that ridge and go over there. As the riders make their way out to the track on their reconnaissance lap, taking a look. Here's the standings coming into this weekend, brought to you by VP Racing. The only rider that we're not going to see on track today is Jeff May in second place. He was wanting to do the entire series, just had to have the funding, but Jake Lewis is going to be there, and he's actually going to be our top qualifier.
Yeah, he's actually struggled the last couple sessions this weekend. Didn't race here last year, so started a little bit late, but looks like he got figured out that second qualifier.
Hunter Dunham's been on the move as of late as well, and you see he's in 12th in championship standings. But again, we're still early into this season. 3 stops down, still plenty more to go, 6 more to go. The riders are working their way back to the grid. And although we are in the Northwest, I'm from Texas. This feels way more like Texas than it does Seattle area. And we're in Shelton, about an hour outside of Seattle, Washington, as we take a look at our starting grid. You want to be in front. You want that clean air. The bikes want that clean air. I mean, are we going to have an issue with the bikes possibly overheating as we take a look at our starting grid?
I mean, there's a chance for sure, but this track is really hard to pass on. So qualifying here was really important. You can see how tight that first corner is. You want to be starting on the first couple rows.
Andy DeBrino, name we don't hear until we come to the Northwest. He's fast. Now, the guys in the top 5 in championship points, they qualified with the Honda Superbike class because they run that Superbike Cup. Andy DeBrino was the fastest of those non-top 5s. He's going to be in there. You know he is.
He's going to be in there. He's got a lot of knowledge around this track. Last year he was battling for the podium until he had a crash. So he's going to be in the mix, and he's looked good all weekend. He's been really fast.
Jeremy Coffey, you saw him on the inside of row 4. Stephen Shakespeare on the inside of row 6. This is one of our largest classes of the year, and that is why they are separating the Stock 1000s, that top end of that, and letting them run with the Honda Superbike in that Superbike Cup qualifiers. 8 rows times 3, that's 24 guaranteed with Michael Butler in that 24th position, you still have Cody Cochran. He looks angry, but if everybody goes down in front of him, he's going to be in first. He's got a lot of work to do and a lot of time to make up. You see the yellow flag waving. They should be getting ready to go here in just a moment. But you see the heat waves, the signature off of that tarmac, and our man Michael Hill. I hope he has a hat today. He learned his lesson in Atlanta, and he got a little sunburn because of it. Michael, welcome back to the series, and it's going to be a hot one today.
Yeah, I don't learn, do I? I was doing the mic on the mic section and lost my hat to a little 6-year-old Cold Miler who was telling the whole world that racing motorcycles is about having fun, and I thought, the guy is too cool, he deserves the hat. But I didn't then remember that the next 4 hours I'm going to be in the pit lane, so I never learned my lesson. But anyway, back to the main event, the Stock 1000s, which are just about to line up behind me. You talk about Jake Lewis, a big turnaround for him. As I said, a 2-second increase on his lap time from yesterday. Throw into the mix Michael Gilbert, throw into the mix De Brino, Andrew Lee. You see the guys forming up behind me, and it's a quick restart, so that means normally we'd be on the grid and we can have a chat to the riders. Just because of the heat here, what they're trying to do is just let riders come down. They'll take up their positions on the grid, and then as you can see, 30 seconds, they're going to start their warm-up lap, and then they're going to go whizzing past me, and I don't know if the camera can see, down in the view into turn number 1. It is the makeshift chicane, which is where all of the action is going to happen, I think, guys, at the start of this race. But Jake Lewis looking refreshed, looking good. Travis Wyman on the BMW, De Brino on the Kawasaki, 3 manufacturers on the front row of the grid. I'm not a betting man, and I don't think I could pick a winner even if I was.
Well, you look at the first, 5 races of this season, and we've had 4 different winners. The only repeat winner has been Jake Lewis, and he starts on pole. Not one of the drafting tracks we've seen in the races prior. This one, you could even run a little wide, run some big elbows. If you get out in front, you might be able to hold somebody off, but you got to get in front first.
And another rider who's been really fast this weekend has been Ashton Yates. Ever since the test on Thursday, he's been toward the top of the time sheet. So he's going to be another guy in the mix. And like you said, there's not going to be much drafting here. You see Corey Alexander right there on the green bike. Some guys aren't going to want to come around and be first on the grid because they don't want to sit there. And if their bike's having heating problems, they don't want to sit on the grid and let the temperatures rise.
It's going to make plenty of temperature in those tires, and again, they adjust those tires and get the pressures to where they want them to either be good right off the start or to be there at the end. But it is going to be a hot one out there today. But talking to some of the crew chiefs, and they're there, when they come off the track, they're going, we're right where we want to be. They really have to be cognizant of, as we take a look at our temperature brought to you by Geico. Track temp 110, the actual ambient temperature 91. It's only going to get hotter. They're expecting about 100 degrees today, possibly 105 tomorrow. That is absolutely nuts for the Northwest. One thing, Roger, we haven't talked about and we haven't seen it yet this year is how they're going to start in that first turn. It's different than they would normally start in a local or a regional race where they would swing wide around, a typical outside longer sweeping turn. Here they're going to make a sharp left followed by a really sharp right.
And last year we've seen a lot of accidents in that first corner. It's just, it's really tight. A lot of guys, you're so close to each other. If somebody stops in front of you and you have a moment and you move to the left a little bit, you have nowhere to go. So the start's going to be important, and if you can get through there clean, you're going to be pretty happy with that. If you watch last year's races, because we've seen so much stuff going on in the chicane off the start.
One guy that needs to kind of make things happen is second in last year's championship, Corey Alexander. He currently sits third in championship points, but with Jeff May only 4 ahead of him and May not here, he's going to move into second. But it's really Jake Lewis that he's really trying to gauge himself off of.
And he's kind of been the guy to beat the last couple races, even when he wasn't that fast. You see Hunter Dunham there. It looked like he was smoking a little bit on the warm-up lap there. There's a couple guys behind him was kind of pointing, so I don't know if he has
yeah, right there.
Something up. But yeah, Jake Lewis, even at MotoAmerica when he wasn't that fast in practices, he can put it together in a race.
So you see Wyatt Ferris, he was pointing back and pointing towards the exhaust, and don't know if he has oil coming out of the exhaust or what. And Melissa Paris is his mechanic and looking at it, and that's something that the tech officials, and it looks like he's having to pull off the track. It's something bad enough that he's having to pull off, and they can look, and hopefully he can still make the start at the grid. Now, they do have a belly pan, so if the motor or something was leaking down there, but if you know that it's actually leaking, you can't let them out on the track.
Sometimes if it's something like on the pipe, might have to burn off and get a little bit of smoke. But if it's actually leaking just a little bit, it's safer to pull off.
And that's what he doesn't know right now. Let's take a look. The lights are going to turn on. When they turn off, it's time to go racing here at the Ridge. Stock 1000s, and they're off. Looked like Yates got a good start. DeBrino on the outside, the green Kawasaki, the 62. Been around this track more than anyone here without a doubt, and everybody makes it through smoothly on the first time.
Looks like Jake Lewis got a really good start from pole, and you're going to see he's going to put his head down now and try to get away pretty quickly. But also Andrew Lee this week has been really quick. There's going to be a lot of guys going to be going for it this race.
Talking with Andrew Lee, he said, you know, we've just kind of been playing catch-up. It's a new bike to him, and they're slowly getting after it. He did have an uh-oh moment, though, in that final qualifier. He said in turn 5, and somebody is down. Identify who that rider was. Maybe the 100, Stephen Campbell, I think. But Jake Lewis out in front. Looks like Gilbert up into third after starting fourth, the 55.
I think that is Andrew Lee in third.
Is it Lee? I thought it was. I thought I saw a red number plate. You're better than me, no doubt about it. Andrew Lee, the 14. Travis Wyman up into fourth. There's a good move by Wyman. He started in second, but I didn't really see him put much pressure on the top three those first couple of turns. That's something you had to be cognizant of the first time doing that. Play a little safe off the start, see where your bike's at, get ready, and then try and put the pressure down.
But also you can play kind of safe like he did, and a couple guys get by you. He qualified second on the grid, come out of the first turn fourth.
Better safe than sorry, Raj. I know as a racer you never thought that way. I'm sure you never had any regrets after you ran it in there a time or two. Jake Lewis, Kentucky boy, wasn't able to race last year except a few select events on guest rides. Now he's riding the bike that won the Stock 1000 championship with Cam Peterson, who has moved on to the Honda Superbike. Jake Lewis was a Honda Superbike rider just 2 years ago. Lost that ride. He's trying to get his foot back in the door. This is a perfect way to do it, Roger. The only two-time winner in the 5 races this year.
And it looks like he's trying to get away this race too. I know he works really hard at getting up to speed really fast, so he can you know, try to break away these races at least the first couple laps and see how many people he can get away from.
Franklin Armory Kawasaki of Andrew Lee. We're talking about the 2 wins for Jake Lewis. We're talking about a 2-time national champion in Stock 1000s for Andrew Lee. And last year he didn't race in the Stock 1000 because he couldn't. Evidently it was a rule. You can only win so many championships, and it's time to move on from that class. He was wanting to find a Honda Superbike ride. Didn't have the funding to do it on his own. Didn't have one of those select few rides that was good enough. So he says, okay, I'll come back this year and show him what I've got. Cam Peterson did just that. He got the opportunity, and he's doing well in Honda Superbike. Andy DeBrino does not want to let Jake Lewis get away, does he? This is a one track. You're not going to draft by anyone. And this is a track, when you're out in front, you maybe can pull away from others because of that lack of draft.
The draft definitely is not going to let people, you know, stay in it or make up some ground on the straightaway. You know, this front straightaway is really short on these 1000s. So, you know, as soon as you come out of here and you grab a couple gears, you're almost getting ready for the chicane. Looks like Travis Wyman.
Way wide. Did he lose 2, maybe 3, 4 spots right there? Something's wrong with Travis Wyman. I mean, he drops back to 8th literally in 1 or 2 turns.
It almost looked like when he's coming out of the corner, either he's trying to adjust his brake or maybe his clutch a little bit.
Now he's full throttle down that straightaway, lifting the front wheel, but that is not what he needed. Travis Wyman, a winner this year back at Road Atlanta, the 2nd race. Currently sits 4th in the championship. 1 win, 2 podiums. Let's see what happens. Look for the white bike. Oh, he was out of position. He was way out of line. Now he's dialing in that left side.
He's moving the brake lever. You get a little something on the other side, you can spin it, and you can move your brake lever either out or in.
I would assume that he's trying to get a little more brake out of it because it sure did look like he missed his spot that time. Lap 3 of 13 here, the Stock 1000s of the Komatsu MotoAmerica Superbikes at the Ridge. Jake Lewis, Altus Motorsports, Suzuki. Getting it done from pole position, trying to pull away from Andy DeBrino, who laments last year's race where he was in 2nd place and threw it away. He's in 2nd place now, trying to let Jake Lewis not get away. But he's got some pressure from the 2-time champ, Andrew Lee. What looks like his best race of the year, back in 3rd.
So far this year, but every race he's been getting a little quicker and a little quicker, getting more comfortable on that bike. At Road America, he was kind of in that next group from the leaders, and then they had that Thursday practice yesterday or Thursday before this race, that test. I think that really helped Andrew Lee because it gave him and his crew a day to play with the bike and find some settings that he likes.
And I'm not sure he had raced here at all. I know he didn't last year, but I mean, even though he's from the West Coast, not everybody from California works all the way up here to the Northwest. There's the Ashton Yates. We're seeing that red number 22 Honda, Jones Honda entry. Yates currently sixth in championship points. A couple of podiums, still looking for that victory. Been up there, and then as you mentioned last year, we were waiting for that bike, you know, Yates, to see him on that bike, and now we're doing it, and we know that bike is fast. That Honda's been strong with both May and Yates this year.
The two Hondas this year, I think that's kind of been the surprise a little bit. That first race was Jeff May, how fast he was on that Honda right out of the box. Didn't get to do a lot of testing, so it's going to be a new bike for him. It's going to be some challenges. Looks like Corey's trying to get by pretty quick, like he has a little more pace.
Yeah, Corey Alexander having to work with a new bike as well. The Kawasaki on the outside, going to get a good drive. He's going to do the over and under, just try to drive around the outside. Got to look like the carousel at Road America, just a little different. And I said it's going to be a pivotal race for Corey Alexander if he's going to win this championship. He at least needs to be right behind Jake Lewis. Oh, going way wide is Yates. The pressure of the 23 just finally pays off.
Looks like Ashton tried to square him back up to make the pass, but now Corey's going to have the line.
At a good position on Yates and drops Yates back a spot. Max Girardo just behind him. Little leg dangle, and we saw several riders there actually lifting that rear wheel up off the ground. They're hard under the brakes into those lefts.
Especially turn 13. I mean, you're braking really hard because it's such a sharp left corner. Slow, you're going back a couple gears, so it's really, even though it's a slow corner, it's a really challenging corner.
16 turns in total. They just exited 16. Now make this little swinging left-hand turn. Back around to the right and then left again. That is what we consider turn number 1. 124 of Scott Briotti out of New York. Innovative Motorsports having some problems. Look like a little tip over for him. Trying to get her refired. We see her rolling. Looks like he's just outside that rumble strip trying to get her fired up and try and salvage some points. He's going to keep dropping back to 18th, 19th. You only get points for the top 15 places. Ashton Yates, son of AMA champion. And same thing with Alexander. He's got racing in his genes as well. Corey Alexander.
Michael Gilbert now starting to put a little pressure on Andrew Lee, and also Corey's starting to, catch them. It almost looked like Michael Gilbert made the pass. Yeah, same thing that Corey Alexander did the lap before on Ashton Yates.
Like to see that differential. Let's look how far back. It was only about 3 seconds. There's what happened to Briotti. Just overcooked it and decided to stay straight. Well, no, he's still trying to make that turn. Oh, he got down on the inside of the rumble strip.
Was just a little hot and just trail brake past the apex, and the track really falls down right there, so the front end gets a little bit light.
And I call it a rumble strip, but it's really just a stripe for them. And you talked about how they repaved it. Some of those strips were actually uneven compared to the track last year, where now they're more of a seamless transition. And
now the track's even with the curbs, so a lot of guys in a lot of these corners can use the curbs.
There's the differential between first and second and third. So a decent lead, about 2.9 seconds between Jake Lewis and Andy DeBrino. But you see just how close Michael Gilbert keeps putting the pressure.
This podium battle is starting to heat up. We're going to have 4 or 5 guys. Maybe if Ashton can close up the gap a little bit, we're going to have 5 guys fighting for the podium.
And that's something you'll see from the pit boards. These guys don't have inter-ear communications, no contact with their pit wall. Corey Alexander's looking more and more racy. He looks every bit as fast as second, third, and fourth. So when they do come down that front straightaway, you give them that time or whatever in the differential for the guy behind you. You'd have to think, stay on the same pace, Jake Lewis, you're going to be losing something.
Oh, for sure, especially a track like this when it's this hot. You don't want to just keep pushing the issue when the tires get greasy. So he's going to try to manage that gap. I'm sure now he'll probably just try to keep that gap at 3 seconds.
Corey Alexander's doing some different things. You'll never pass anybody following the same lines. Look at him going underneath Andrew Lee. Andrew Lee now trying to get back underneath. You just have to get a half a bike length underneath somebody and block them, and that's exactly what Corey Alexander did. Can he shut it down? Yes. Corey's looking the raciest out of all of these guys right now.
Yeah, didn't qualify as well as he would have liked, but definitely looks like he's figuring it out race time.
I always tell you, Roger, it never pays to win practice, but it sure does feel good. It gives you that confidence. But what gives you even more confidence is knowing that you can pass a two-time champ. You can sit there and pick these guys one at a time off. And if you've got some tire left at the end of the race and you do get into second, you know where you can make passes. Jake Lewis just knows he's been going out there riding by himself the entire time.
And actually, Corey cut these guys pretty quickly.
Right.
You know, only took him like 1 lap, so he definitely has pretty good pace. And you can just see Jake Lewis each lap, he's about a half a second quicker each lap, just kind of pulling away.
I have a question for you, and I cover it in many types of motorsports. Sometimes the riders will set up a bike for the middle to end a race, or a car for the middle to end a race as far as tire pressure. Some guys want to have that temp to make sure that they're out in front on the get-go. Is there a chance that Corey Alexander, or would you even set that bike up to build that tire temp as the race goes on and be at that spot then?
Looks like he just got more Michael Gilbert there. Gilbert had an issue, lost a couple spots right there in turn 7.
And the 23 just keeps moving up.
But no, I think a lot of these guys you see, like in practice, why they do so many laps, they're working on their race pace. You don't want your bike, you know,
too
really
good too early.
You know, good for only 2 or 3 laps and then really fall off. Here goes Corey again.
Yeah, he keeps doing the over and over. He's not even going over and under. I mean, he's just staying underneath or driving around the outside.
He opened the door for Michael Gilbert, made the pass as well.
Corey Alexander's finding places to pass that really only Michael Gilbert is doing as well. But 2, 3, 4, 5. These Kawasaki's are chasing the Suzuki GSX-R 1000 of Jake Lewis, who had a 3.3 second advantage that last time around. Let's take a look at this. Look at the 55 having some issues. Oh, he got bucked. Oh, that was a great save. And then to come back and pass. That was a good save, but had the presence of mind to regroup and get back by Andrew Lee.
He knows he's in a race. He doesn't have time. He didn't even look back. Just got right into the middle of the race.
And here comes Ashton. We haven't even seen the Honda in a little bit. It looked like the Cowies were starting to pull away, but we see Jake Lewis ahead of Alexander, Gilbert, DeBrino, Andrew Lee in the 14 in 5th right now. Michael, you have more?
The sun with the Franklin Armory team of Andrew Lee, and the guys are looking at the screen the same as we are, and I just asked the question, hey, is there anything to worry about? Like, why is Andrew starting to lose positions? And we can hear from the team now. What do you reckon is going on with Andrew?
He got a really good start. He pushed out in the front a little bit. I think everybody's just finally figuring the track out and sorting their way around and learning their lines and figuring out where they're going to fall into play. So he looks like he's running some slightly different lines than the guys in front of him, and I think if he, keeps the tab on what they're doing, he's going to follow in suit, and he's sticking right on the back of them. So tires is obviously going to be a key factor in making sure that they manage their tire by the end of the race, and in dealing with the heat that we have out here is another big thing. So he's still hanging in there. We'll see if he's there at the end.
He's a wily old fox, isn't he? Do you think that's one of the things that he's got because of the Superstock experience, his double championship? Just take a break, just don't push the tires too much. Let's just see what everyone else has got, and maybe that's just part of his strategy. We don't know, of course. We can't speak to him because he's on track on his own. But do you think that's the way he's thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's been thinking. And we did talk before the race. He wanted to try to get out there and set the pace, but just seeing where we fall into play here and where the cards all fall down at the end. But yeah, definitely seeing where your guys are in front of you. See how the race turns out at the end. So I just think he's going to see where everybody else is. Looks like Ashton Yates is getting into battle as well. So it's going to be a real close. These guys have been racing close all year. So track is good. We'll see how everything falls in. So I'm looking forward to seeing the end of this race.
Yeah, Roger, and if that is the case, if that is the plan of Andrew Lee and that is the strategy, it could be quite smart thinking from the double champ.
Yeah, maybe just try to save his tires toward the end. Maybe he thinks these guys might run into some tire issues. And, the lap before, Jake Lewis had a 3.3 second lead. Last lap, Corey Alexander took a second off that. Jake's lead is already down to only 2.2 with 5 laps to go.
And unlike Jake Lewis, who's been running out there by himself, Corey Alexander's found places to go faster and do it a little unorthodox at times. We weren't seeing over-unders. We were seeing him drive around the outside of guys. We're seeing him go underneath and stay underneath other guys. There's the man on the move, the 23 of Corey Alexander, runner-up in the championship last year behind Cam Peterson, and he's closing in ever so slightly. Well, actually in big chunks. That's second on Jake Lewis that last time around. And yeah, you can see Lewis even in the picture. And even though Lee's seeing all this go down in front of him, Ashton Yates is starting to close in the rear. So you're going to be looking forward, but those eyes behind might be watching out too.
Jake, beginning of the race, was running the low 43s. Now he's into the high 44s. I'm not sure if maybe he's running into, you know, some tire issues, getting too hot, or maybe he was just going to manage the race.
Yeah, these guys trying to find that race pace, but until you're out there doing it with guys around you. And Andrew Lee told me in that qualifying session, he said, man, I almost threw it away. I almost got high-sided in turn 5. And he said, it wasn't the tire. He said, you just started coming around on me. The track gets greasy, that field. Jake Lewis, Corey Alexander, Michael Gilbert, 1, 2, and 3. And look at that, 2.4 separates first from third. So we were 2-2. Now we're 1-8 with 4 laps to go.
And Jake also that lap got back into the 43s, a high 43. But Corey Alexander still almost a half a second a lap. If he keeps that up, he's going to be there on the last lap.
The eyesight's the thing, though, right? Corey can see that he's closing in. Jake Lewis just seeing a number, but Corey can kind of base everything off of what he sees in front of him in Jake Lewis.
Corey Alexander, you know, his fastest first sector again, so you definitely pushing hard.
Jake Lewis's fastest lap was at 1:43.33 way back in lap number 4. We've only got 4 laps to go in this one, but you see a couple of 44s in there, and that's why we saw Alexander, Gilbert, DeBrino, and Lee starting to close in a little bit. Corey Alexander, a personal best in sector 1, so he's still closing. Look at that. And he's pulling away a little bit on Michael Gilbert. Gibby 5th in championship points, the 55. Out of Tustin, California, Michael Gilbert Racing. You see him there in that tuck just ahead of the local product. Lives a couple hours down the road, Andy DeBrino. A lot of eyes were going to be on him because everybody sees what he does on a weekly basis. But it's one thing doing it on a local or regional level. It's another thing to do it at MotoAmerica, even if it is your home track.
And also just watching the lap times, all these guys are doing their fastest lap as the race goes on, and it just kind of tells me that the tires are handling. That's Jeremy Coffey.
Oh,
that's
man.
A bummer. He was having such a great weekend so far.
He was so happy yesterday with the qualifying and the way things going. He even, when I interviewed him, he said, hey, how did I do? Did I do good? That's unfortunate for him. And Coffey was in a top 10 position too. Man, that is unfortunate for him. There's Jake the Snake Lewis out in front. Altus Motorsports Suzuki leads this one. He had a 2-second advantage. We have less than 3 laps to go. The man out of Princeton, Kentucky. Tall rider. I mean, the 1000 suits him for sure. Not many big boys in racing, but that's a big boy that's racing.
Corey Alexander's really fast through that first sector. Again, a purple first sector. That means the fastest of anybody through that whole race. And each lap, he takes 4 or 5 tenths out of Jake in that first sector.
Yeah, look at that last time. That was almost half a second in that first sector. We should see him. Look at him. He is closing. That's huge, Roger. That's
he's there.
Something is going on with Jake. I mean, it looks like he's going way slower right now, comparatively. He is knocking on the door. I mean, did Corey Alexander time this perfectly? Or is Jake just kind of backing off a little bit because he can't afford to back off now?
Especially Corey, another, this is going to be the fastest lap of the race for Corey coming in right now.
Absolutely. Not only can he see it, he can taste it now, Roger.
And also, he's already came through the pack and passed a couple people, so he's going to know where there's a couple areas where he can make a move.
And he did it in different places as well. This is going to get good, boys and girls. 2 laps to go. They come across the stripe down this front straightaway. Corey Alexander, there's not much of a toe from the guy in front of you. But look at that. Our differential is 0.6 of a second. He's knocking on the door. Jake Lewis, Corey Alexander, Michael Gilbert back there about another half a second in third.
Sometimes it just makes me worry or wonder if maybe Jake's got some sort of issue while some laps is in the mid 43s and the other ones are in the 44s.
Well, it looked like that one time when we saw a big difference, like something happened, like something wasn't right. And
this Corey is that first sector where Corey's really fast. You can see he's already almost on him.
Michael Gilbert had his personal best in that. Excuse me, they moved our time into scoring sets to third on that one, but look at that. Look at the difference. 0.07 of a second differential now. And you see Jake set up, and Corey just runs it wide. Go get a good drive, go to the inside. Here's a pass for the lead, and out of nowhere. And now Jake's going to go underneath it. He's not going to have it. Look at all that drive out of Corey Alexander, taking the lead with 11.5 to go.
You could already tell Jake is having some sort of issue because he was already blocking the inside.
In a guarding position, in general, you can do that at this track, but not when Corey Alexander's going that fast and had all that momentum. And you could see it up. When Corey set him up on the outside, he was going to drive out smooth. Now, can Michael Gilbert catch up with Jake Lewis? Again, championship points are at stake, 25 for first. That's the max that you can get. And right now, Jake Lewis is going to lose about 5 points to Corey Alexander.
And it could be more on this last lap if he keeps the same pace. You know, looks like Andy DeBrino or Michael Gilbert could get by him.
Absolutely, especially if there's some type of mechanical. You get 16 points for third, 13 points for fourth, 11 for fifth. Anything can happen with the white flag out. The Stock 1000s, our first race of the weekend, is a good one. It might have taken him 11.5 laps to do so. But Corey Alexander, here's that pass to the lead. Look at him setting up on the outside,
yeah,
Roger.
Just went in really wide in the turn 8 when Jake went up in the middle of the corner. Corey just took the position.
And he just had to stand it up. I think he kind of expected him or felt him to be there. I didn't think he was expected to be that fast.
He didn't really put up much of a fight.
No. But I mean, what are you going to do? A guy, he was 2, 3, 4 miles an hour faster than you in that same turn. Now almost Jake has to be saying, I got to guard this second place. If I do have something wrong, I've got to get max points. I've got to take home 20. Michael Gilbert's going to have something to say about that. There's a 55 in third. Andy DeBrino still wants to get up on the podium. How important would it be for the local guy to finish on the box? DeBrino out of Oregon. It said this is his local track. This is a couple hours down the road.
He's going to have to get a little bit closer if he's going to want to make a pass. Some of these corners you see, you go in low and you drift up, and you see guys kind of, you know, get in there and block it and take the line, but you got him to be a lot closer than he is.
You saw DeBrino that other time. He was actually going really wide, hoping that he could do that kind of that Corey Alexander type of move, but the wider you go, the longer the track, and he just wasn't able to make up the difference. And Jake Lewis, again, a little bit offline. We have lap traffic just in front. I don't think they're going to be a factor. Corey Alexander runs through the field and comes through with resounding success. Look at this run from the 23. How about it, Corey Alexander, Honos, HBMC Racing with the victory and getting it done the hard way. How many passes did he make? 5, 6 to get there?
Well, I know he started in 7th, so yeah, he made a lot of passes. He rode a great race. He got faster every single lap, and you know, was really consistent, and that's what it takes.
We've seen him run away. We've seen him pull away before and take race victories. That was one of the best races I've seen out of Corey Alexander.
And I mean, when he's, you know, when Corey's on, he's super talented. We've seen races like that before, so it's really cool to see, and I bet this can kind of jumpstart his season a little bit more, where he's going to be challenging for more wins.
I said that you know, this is going to be pivotal for him. He's third in the championship. He has 74 points to Jake Lewis's 98. He gains 5. You know, it was a 4-point differential. Now it's down to 19. You keep plucking them off. And you know as well as I do, that race win gives you the confidence. It also gives you the most points that you can make up differential. And you saw how fast 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th are. That's what Corey Alexander wants. That's what he needs, is some of those guys to finish in between them. We can have a total flip-flop this weekend.
Easy. Those other guys, you know, they're going to figure out some stuff overnight to try to be better tomorrow. And if they come in and, you know, if it's a tire issue or something that Jake ran into at the end where he can't hold the pace all the way for the whole race, those guys will be there tomorrow.
It's kind of that unknown, though, Roger, and we questioned that, and we knew Jake Lewis, he had the talent to get away. This is a track, if you can get out in front, you can maybe pull away. It's not a drafting type of track. But when you're out there doing those times, how long can you stay there? And
those passes Corey made, he made really good passes. When he got on somebody, he was passing right away and just fully committing.
Yeah, he wasn't doing much following, was he? And you know what? I mean, I've had other guys between Ricky Johnson, my buddy, or Grant Langston. You're never going to pass if you follow. You know, and we never saw him in the trail, in the tire tracks of the rider in front of him, ever in any of those situations. What could have been for the 85? it might be one of those situations where something wasn't right, and he did a tremendous job by holding on to second, too. We'll find out. I'm sure Michael Hill will have the scoop down there after a bit. But Corey Alexander, what a run. Honos Kawasaki, ride HVMC. Riding to that victory podium on top is Corey Alexander. Our Geico results. Lewis just a second behind, but within that second as well is Michael Gilbert. Andy DeBrino settles for a fourth. Andrew Lee, two-time champ, just behind. Get points all the way down to the top 15. Stephen Shakespeare, Jeremy Coffey take home a couple of points for the weekend. And the beautiful thing about it here, all 5 classes get 2 attempts. We'll get to see these guys out there tomorrow. It's going to be hotter. I'm sure these guys are going to be breathing pretty heavy as they exit the track.
It was cool to see Jeremy Coffey get up and get back in the race and still end up 15th and getting a point.
Yes, it was. He was inside that top 8, I think, when he went down and clicking them off. He should be happy. I mean, Corey's waving, he's fist pumping. I mean, he should be happy. His team should be happy. We talk about racing in his jeans, Richie Alexander. The whole crew. I mean, it's never just one person. You know, it's the bike, it's the crew, it's the rider. But that was a solid package altogether when we really quite haven't seen it this weekend out of Corey Alexander. But it paid off at the end. Look at that. You could just feel the enthusiasm.
Especially when you qualify 7th, you know, you're more nervous when you qualify like that because you think you don't have the pace. Am I going to run with the leaders? But he rode a great race, made some awesome passes, and really set the guys up well.
It's the Komatsu MotoAmerica Superbikes at the Ridge. There are that heavy equipment on display. Listening in, that has to be one of the most satisfying, gratifying race wins out of Corey Alexander's racing career at MotoAmerica, because it was not given to him. He didn't start up front, but he worked his way up front. We expected Jake Lewis to get out in front, kind of pull away, and he did just that early on.
And that's what he tried to do. Got the whole shot, let out the chicane, started pulling away a little bit. Travis Wyman had a little bit of a moment there first couple laps. You can see Jake just creeping away a little bit each lap.
You don't even see Corey Alexander in the picture. It was more DeBrino, it was Lee, Ashton Yates up there, but here comes Corey Alexander, just picking them off one at a time. There's how you pass.
He was making a lot of passes. Turn 13 where he was just at, he made a pass.
Here's another one, the 23. Again, but he's never in the same line.
But he puts himself in position for the next corner.
Diving underneath Andrew Lee is Michael Gilbert. That would enable him to finish in 3rd. Look at the dive under. A little bit wide. A little bit wide for Andy DeBrino, and taking advantage was Corey Alexander. And the pass for the lead and down to the stripe. 13-lap race. You don't have to be in first on the first lap. You just need to be in first when you cross the flag for that 13th lap. The 2 and the 3 on his helmet, but it's number 1 on the box, taking the victory. Corey Alexander, Michael.
Incredible race from Corey Alexander, 25 points, important points for the championship. Corey, not the fastest of starts, but when you needed to be fast, it counted. A great job today.
Yeah, I mean, well, I really have to give my hats off to Chris Lessing, Chuck Graves, everybody at Graves Motorsports, because you know, it was a little nerve-wracking coming into this race. Honestly, it was my worst race last year, and we turned things around. Going into this, I kind of knew we had some issues in qualifying too that held us back from really showing our potential, I think, and I knew I had to kind of take it easy to begin with, and I knew how good our bike was over a race distance from testing the other day, and just hats off to all my guys, Richie, Chris, DJ, Jason, Tim, Humberto, just everybody in our team. The whole Hudson Valley Hornos Racing team is working really well, and I have to give a special thanks to all my sponsors: Alpine Star Leathers, Harai Helmets, Chuckwalla Valley Raceway, New Rage Cycles, Galford Brakes. They were working really good out there. That's where I was making up all my time. Just everybody, Rich Millman, my girlfriend at home. Just thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
He ain't lying. He was making up some time on those brakes. Those Galford brakes did do him justice. That Graves motor got him out strong. Second place, Jake Lewis.
Jake, obviously you're going to be disappointed on one hand, but a massive turnaround from 24 hours ago. Important points for the championship. It looked to us watching maybe a bit of rear tire grip. What was the problem towards the end of that race?
Honestly, like even 8 laps to go, I looked at my board and I'm like, I'm screwed. You know, the whole bike was bouncing and chattering, and we just kind of been struggling all week, and honestly, you know, yesterday we were back in 10th and 2 seconds off the pace, and made a big jump this morning, and was able to qualify on pole, and you know, put a gap at the beginning. You know, I think I looked at my board and it was up to like 2 seconds, and then started struggling super bad and almost crashed at the top of the hill there. And then after that, I was just like, just bring it home. And then unfortunately, Corey passed me with 2 laps to go with a hell of a lot more pace than I had, and just tried to stick on to him because I could hear some bikes behind me. So good day for the team, you know, points wise, but definitely frustrating to lose like that. You know, we've been working hard, and first time here, so finally getting up to speed a little bit, and hopefully tomorrow we'll have a little bit better of a result and be able to run with Corey. But a big thank you to the whole Altus Motorsports team, my crew chief Eric Gray, mechanics Sean, Victor, Ben Fox, and Chris Orridge from Team Hammer, and the M4 guys for helping turn this thing around last night. Cortec Leathers, Arai Helmets, my personal sponsors Rock Loon International, Service Tools and Plastics, Picanti Plastic Trays, and just everyone else who supports me. Thank you.
Cheers, Jake.
So I was right. It was good that he held on to that second place. He said he had 5 laps left on lap 8. He knew, I'm done for.
And the good thing for him is he's got that Superbike race this afternoon that him and his team can sit down now, make some changes, and he'll know going into tomorrow if they get it right.
Well, that's another thing he has to fight for, is that Superbike Cup. Let's go back down to Michael, who's with another Michael Gilbert in 3rd.
Yeah, 2 Michaels down here, but only one of them actually performing well this weekend. Michael Gilbert all back on the box. A confident consummate performance today. Great job, great 16 points.
Yeah, absolutely. A big confidence boost. You know, I fell down on Thursday at the test and honestly lost a little bit of confidence, but I got to give it up to my guys, Jason and Josh, just for giving me a motorcycle I can work with here today and believing in me even when I was a little down on confidence. Man, it was a long race. It was I thought it was going to go by a little bit quicker than it did, and but hats off to these guys. They're riding great. I got to give a special thank you to my sponsors, Octane Lending, Chuckwalla Valley Raceway. Man, the hard work out there in the desert is paying off, and on hot days like this. Rever for coming on board these last few rounds. I also got to give a special shout out to my dad. It's his birthday today, so I was really trying hard to get a win for him, but 3rd will do for now, and we'll go back to work tonight and try and do it again tomorrow.
Cheers, Michael. Back to you guys in the booth.
Happy birthday, Pops, and delivered you that podium. Take a look at the pass here again, or the passes here again. This is just an all-around good race. Our first race of the day. Is this what we're going to expect the other 4 races of the day, Rod?
I think you are. You know, we've seen so many lap times all weekend, been really close. Last year we've seen some great racing here at this track, so I think we're going to be setting up for a pretty good day. And
how the conditions changed, got hotter. That bike didn't work necessarily as well for Jake Lewis in the middle of that race as it did at the start. Here's the updated standings. I thought it was a 19-point differential. It's down to 17 now, but you notice Jeff May not here, dropping back to 5th. But Jake's got some work to do. But like you mentioned, in that Superbike Cup, riding with the Honda Superbike, maybe they can get that thing working better for him and back at it again tomorrow.
And Travis Wyman getting 7th place, that was a pretty big hit in the points for him as well.
Yeah, that hurt, and not sure what happened. You saw him dialing in the brakes there. Did he just try and grab some, and there wasn't nothing there? But either way, he lost 3, 4, 5 positions in one turn, and you just cannot afford to do that if you're going to win this championship. Just the start of our racing day. Plenty of fans in the stands. We're glad you're watching on MotoAmerica Live Plus. At the top of the hour, going to be kicking it off with our next race of the day, the Super Sport. Not 13, but 16 laps. It's hotter, and it's going to get even faster here in a bit.